Hi all. Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Hi everybody. I was working on a video for today and I stopped. And I stopped because I saw that Chris Bryant, who's in the UK Parliament, put out some report, some discussion, I don't even know what, and mentioned Christopher Bouzy's report. I was disgusted. He didn't even bother to do his own research about Christopher Bouzy. So in that vein, I've decided that I am going to repost the video of Mr. Bouzy, my first video of him, and then his response video showing how Mr. Bouzy behaves or reacts when he's called to the mat. So, yes, if you've already seen these, you don't have to watch. If you haven't seen these, you're in for a shock. Okay, let's go. First video was done October 30th of 2021. Good morning, everybody. This video covers one topic, but it's a big topic, and it's about the BuzzFeed article that was put out where it said that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were targeted with coordinated harassment on Twitter. So let's just jump right in and go, shall we? Let's go. This entire thing started when this list was put up by somebody named Bouzy, and supposedly these were all hate accounts, and they were going to look into all of them and try to have them removed from Twitter. This man was saying that he was going to be reporting these people, and he was going to, show their IP addresses, and he was going to do all these things, and people on Twitter were like, what? And just FYI, I'm not on this list. I'm really hurt. I should be on the list. The next thing that happened was that BuzzFeed News put out this article with the title, Twitter data has revealed a coordinated campaign of hate against Meghan Markle. So the way this went out was a, quote, Twitter analytics service called Bot Sentinel released a report, supposedly, examining Twitter activity related to the Sussexes. I still can't say it. And a Twitter spokesperson, of course, said that they're actively investigating the information and the people referenced in the report, and they'll take action against any accounts that violate Twitter rules. This Bot Sentinel is a crowd-funded website, and it's a browser plugin that supposedly analyzes Twitter accounts to identify those that violate the terms of service by, people that might have more than one account, people that engage in targeted harassment and trolling and behavior that is banned by the Twitter rules. The CEO of this company is a man called Christopher Bouzy. His statement is that this is an anti-Meghan Markle Twitter campaign unlike anything that they've ever seen before, and there's no motive to it. And he's basically insinuating in the article that people are racist and they're trying to hurt their credibility. They don't know why they're behaving this way. He said, and I'm quoting, there's a difference between free speech and literally harassing someone. Now, this is where it gets interesting, okay? Because when this Bouzy guy tweeted that the Bot Sentinel would be launching an investigation into anti-Sussex accounts on Twitter, he claims that he became the target of a full-fledged harassment campaign unlike anything he and his team had ever experienced before. And they were hate tweets and death threats and targeted harassment, and he doesn't understand why. Here's where it gets interesting. Had this BuzzFeed people bothered to do any kind of real investigation into this man, they would have found that Mr. Bouzy has been targeting with what I consider to be really nasty hate tweets the royal family. Look at the above. William is 39 and I'm 46. Forgive me in advance for being petty. I just saw a recent photo of William and Kate, and those two are aging in banana years. I don't understand why, since they have a team of people who wait on them hand and foot 24/7. On this one, he wrote, William looks like somebody's pop-pop. How about this one? So you're claiming Harry and Meghan have had work done? Moreover, there's nothing wrong with getting work done. I'm sorry, but William and Kate look like Harry's aunt and uncle. So my guess is before BuzzFeed did an article and quoted this man who acts like he's just some innocent person who's trying to run a company, which, by the way, from what I saw online, it's failing, they probably should have investigated this guy just a little bit closer. They should have looked a little bit closer, because then some more information came to light. Mr. Bouzy posted some pictures of his daughter with an LV purse and wrote how he bought her one as a reward for having all A's when she was 13, and how the store shut down for an hour to give her a private party, etc., etc. To which his daughter replied that those photos were 10 years old, that she had been abused, disowned, and physically and mentally abused to the point of repeatedly wanting to commit suicide. So apparently he wasn't all that and a bag of chips as a dad, according to his daughter. Then, to top the whole thing off, the woman who actually wrote the BuzzFeed article put up this tweet saying that she wanted to give Kate a sandwich. That explains a lot. So with that, I wrote to BuzzFeed this letter. You can freeze the screen to read it all. There's 2 pages. Told them what I thought and attached the tweets from Mr. Bouzy and other followers of Mr. Bouzy who are attached to his account, as far as I can tell, by either he follows them or they follow him. And as you can see, these are some of the worst accounts. They spew all kinds of hate. They're just horrible. And even they don't even spare the kids. They say horrible things about the kids. They call them retarded. I mean, I didn't see Mr. Bouzy saying anything about these accounts when he was giving his, opinion to BuzzFeed. And we already know that the people on the Sussex Squad podcast have gotten the private personal information from Murky Meg, according to Taz, Yankee Wally. They've called their employers. They've harassed their underage children. And right here in black and white, it says, we will find you. We will call your jobs. We will contact your families, which is exactly what they did. And yet again, I don't see Twitter shutting them down. Now, here's the best part. Twitter reviewed 114,000 tweets and found that out of the millions and millions of Twitter accounts, 83 accounts were responsible for 70% of the hate that was directed at the couple. So much for the bot sentinel. Twitter said, as I put in my letter, that there was no evidence of widespread coordination, the use of multiple accounts by single persons, or other platform manipulation tactics. Now, you guys should know that there is no way on God's green earth that Omid wasn't going to jump into this. Now, this first tweet really caught my attention because he admits that the Bot Sentinel report says that 83 accounts, 83 out of millions, are responsible for the 70% of the hate that's thrown at Harry and Meghan. But then, as usual, he takes the next step. He claims that 2 months ago, he was shown direct messages between a known writer and a Twitter account dedicated to promoting racist and fake conspiracy theories about Meghan. And he said the conversations, beyond being disturbing, were influencing that writer's work. Like, okay. Is there anybody here that's going to say that Omid's tweets and his work isn't influenced by information that he gets off of Twitter? People, let's return to reality. Now, for those of you who don't believe that there's any kind of motive behind him doing all of this, it could have something to do with his financial situation. Mr. Bouzy had a roommate. They were renting a very expensive apartment in New Jersey. The roommate was being evicted, and so before the eviction could go forward, Mr. Bouzy filed his own bankruptcy case. Yes, he filed bankruptcy. I'm not going to put all of it up here. This is all public record. He had to do counseling, which I believe is mandatory in New Jersey. And financially, as of February of this year, he's a mess. So yes, he really needs people to support his bot sentinel thing to try to get out of the mess, I guess. Now, this is the second video, which took place January 20th of 2022. Mr. Bouzy, while going on about Meghan and Harry hate accounts. Now, keep in mind, there's millions and millions and millions of accounts on Twitter. Claims that he's found 50 accounts or something like that. I don't know, that are hate accounts. As you can see from his own tweets, he runs a hate account. He writes nasty things about the royal family, and he whips up the sugars and gets them to write nasty things about the royal family. But yet he has not done one report on those people. Now, the reason that I think, and again, just my opinion, I think he's being financed by Harry and Meghan. Now, when I tell you guys that this man is whipping his followers up into a frenzy, let me give you a perfect example. Look at the tweet below. He tweeted that a lunatic sent somebody to his house. He's had to call the police, and his family is in danger. Then put the same tweet out with a picture to prove, look, the lunatic is here. I've had to call the police. He was pretending to be a delivery man. That's how he tried to get to me. That's what he wrote. And with this, his followers got whipped into a frenzy. Oh my God, I'm praying for you. I hope you stay safe. Take your family's, safety to utmost importance. Oh my God, thank you for sticking your neck out and doing this bot sentinel report. We know it's put you in danger. Get the point? Come to find out, it was a process server because Mr. Bouzy's being sued in court for things that he said and done online, in person. I mean, the guy's in super trouble. And so Mr. Bouzy did not, as far as I can tell, maybe he did, but I don't believe he did. He did not go back on Twitter and tell everybody, yeah, I made a mistake. This was a process server who was serving me paperwork because I'm being sued in a court of law. No, he let everybody believe it was crazy lunatic followers trying to stop him from doing his job. For those of you who are interested, I found this to be the most amazing reading. You can stop the video, take your time, read through each page. It's shocking material. This is the actual lawsuit that was filed against Mr. Bouzy, of which he was served. Now, what I find really interesting is Mr. Bouzy told people online that he's going to sue like Taz and Wally and me, and he's going to sue all these other people. And he's had people giving him money, donating money to him, when I think the money that's being donated to him is actually going to be used by his defense attorney, in my humble opinion. After all, if you take a look at the other video I did of him, he just went through bankruptcy. I think money may be just a little bit short for this man. All right, now getting back to the main topic of our conversation and this video. I've also noticed that he's not bothering Lady Colin Campbell, probably because she has more money than God, and she would take Mr. Bouzy to the cleaners. She is completely off the report. Interesting. Bouzy had also said before the worst accounts were in the United States, but oh, heck. I guess I should also point out that Mr. Bouzy's not known for mincing words when it comes to dealing with people like the McConnells, Piers Morgan, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley. Yeah, he's not exactly known for his speech etiquette. I did find some information online that clearly shows that Mr. Bouzy has been in all kinds of trouble. Apparently, he got caught scamming Bitcoin. I'm not even sure what the hell Bitcoin is, and that's the truth. He allegedly was accused of running some sort of a dating site, which turned out to be for prostitution. I don't know what's true and what's not as far as that's concerned. I just know that this man doesn't like the royal family. He whips up the sugars to not like the royal family, but yet he's running reports on Taz, Murky Meg, and Yankee Wally. And let me just tell you guys what this really is. This is an attack on free speech. Supposedly, this whole thing was about Twitter, and his company was about Twitter. But when people left Twitter and went to the other site, Getter, he followed them over there. And then he would take screenshots from there and put that on Twitter. And then when people wrote things that he didn't like on other platforms, one person who left Twitter used a platform I've never heard of before called Medium. Maybe you guys have heard of it, I haven't. But when he didn't like what the person was saying on Medium, he asked his followers to report this person en masse to get them off. Now, we all know that Jack Royston, again, reached out, and Yankee Wally got very upset when she got that email. Jack Royston works for Newsweek, correct? And for those who don't know it, Newsweek is owned by Mark Benioff, an IT billionaire and vice president of, wait for it, Harry's Better Up Company. That's right, Harry's Better Up Company, where he's a chimpo. Harry had already said that free speech was bonkers. He was going to do absolutely everything to stop people from talking about him and talking about his wife and what they're doing and their hypocrisy. They bought into that ethical banking, which partially owns a lot of the social media accounts. And now they've hired this guy, in my opinion, who's running around doing this. I had heard that Mr. Royston was a closet sugar, that he really just loves Meghan Markle. And this tweet, as you see above, clearly shows that, because he's following one of the major sugar accounts that spews hate at the royal family. Now, when it was found out that Harry and Meghan had called this woman, you can see the tweets above, they asked them, why would you call somebody that's, attacking your family? And their response was, well, we don't really know her, and we're not even sure what she's done. To which this woman responded, how did they tell the world they don't know me if they literally just called me on my personal phone number? She outed them for being liars. Of course, we already know now from what went on in court that they're both, liars and untrustworthy, but she outed them herself, which I thought was interesting. So Mr. Royston put up these tweets, come look at my story, hit the button, and of course, it was also picked up by People magazine. We already know that Harry and Meghan have people in their pocket via Sunshine Sachs. So it's like exploding. But let me show you what I consider to be hate accounts. And this is actually really sad when you look at it, but watch this. When it comes to Omid Scobie, who's also just a basic mouthpiece, even he's been trying for a while to get Yankee Wally off of Twitter. Because you know what? The truth hurts. In my opinion, Harry should be a little bit more careful about hiring people like this and letting these royal family haters move right along while you're shutting down your dissenter, or you're trying to, because that kind of behavior usually comes back to bite you in the rear. And here's my example. Look out, Harry, because a lot of your rabid fan base already wants you gone. So, yeah, I'd be very careful if I were you. Just my personal opinion again, but I think you need more protection from them than you do from, like, Taz and Yankee Wally. I think it's important to note that Twitter has already said that this guy's stuff isn't real, that Bot Sentinel isn't real, and it doesn't work, and they've already, debunked this guy's, his report. And I like what this young lady said. This report is just made to support the delusional beliefs of the Sussexes. That's all it is. Accountability, calling people out for their behavior, is not hate speech. So here is why I think Harry and Meghan are behind this whole thing. Number one, they tried to get people to stop saying anything negative by suing every newspaper they could. They're running out of money. They had to stop doing that. Harry even said himself that our First Amendment right, which is freedom to speech, was bonkers, although that's the right that gave him the chance to sit on Oprah's couch and lie about his family. They then invested money in this ethical banking firm, which has a large percentage of shares in Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all of these online presences, where they claim they don't have an online presence, but come to find out that's a lie. They're monitoring Twitter. That is why I believe they have now hired this guy to do this report to try to take down the high accounts that are pointing out all the truth about them. Let's not forget that Harry mentioned this Bot Sentinel company mere hours after it came out on the scene. So that tells me that he probably commissioned this guy. This next video took place March 2nd of 2022. In October of last year, Mr. Bouzy came out on the scene with his Bot Sentinel, and I decided to do a little digging into him, and I did a video on YouTube called It's So Bouzy. Wasn't that big of a video. It only got 22,000 views. Over 3 months, it only got 22,000 views. But Mr. Bouzy was made aware of it and immediately went on the defensive. So it was at this time that he started to tweet, and he's tweeting. And he's tweeting. And his tweets, as time went on, became more and more abusive. And in my opinion, somewhat of a little bit paranoid. Who do you think you are? You're 56. How dare you run a channel? And then he called me a hate channel. He didn't even know about me until I did the video on him. And you should also know that when I started my channel, I did do a lot of primarily things about Harry and Meghan. However, as my channel has evolved, I now include information about other members of the royal family. Lately, I've been including information about the war in Ukraine and how people can help. So my channel has evolved. Anyway, I digress. And then he doxed me and the threats continued. She doesn't know what I do for a living. I'm going to get her. Now, I should also let you guys know, it wasn't that long ago that he was on some sort of a podcast with somebody named Pagan Trellaway. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And on that podcast, if you listen, he says, I don't dox people. But he did. When these tweets came out, I ignored them, which is why he then began to release more and more information. As you can see above, he released where I live, what I do for a living, what my husband does for a living. And this was supposed to be intimidation. It doesn't work for me. I ignored him. Mr. Bouzy also said in that same podcast I just mentioned that he doesn't release info on people. Yes, see tweet above. I should also point out that in that same podcast, Mr. Bouzy told the young lady that he was speaking to at the end that if she knew names of people, she should release them. Yep. Not long after that, Mr. Bouzy contacted YouTube and said that I had put up his private information and he wanted my video removed. YouTube went to my video, saw the bankruptcy paperwork, saw that it was available in the public realm, and that I had blurred out everything but his name, the case numbers, all the information, and they decided to let my video stand. Now, I want to make sure that you guys all understand what was in my video. First of all, I quoted him directly from the Elle magazine interview that he gave. He had no complaints about that as far as I know, and he never complained that Elle magazine misquoted him. I discussed the fact that he had filed for bankruptcy. He didn't complete the bankruptcy as far as I can tell, but he did file for bankruptcy, and that information is available all in the public domain. I pointed out that he was talking about single-minded hate accounts and the hateful tweets that they were putting up about Meghan and Harry, but I was able to pull tweets directly from his open, unprotected Twitter account that showed that he himself was running somewhat of a hate account. His hate account was aimed at the royal family, specifically William and Kate. What Mr. Bouzy was upset about was that I mentioned his daughter. She was in my video for about 8 to 9 seconds. And let me make something perfectly clear. I did not mention her name, where she lives, her age, what she does for a living. I mentioned nothing about her other than the fact that she accuses Mr. Bouzy of not being a good father to her. Other YouTubers have done videos on the daughter. I'm not going to say I agree with what they did. It's not my job to police other people. I did start to watch a couple of those videos and then I stopped because it made me very uncomfortable. But I'm just saying, I never said anything about what she does for a living. Listen, if she's working, making money, and she's happy with her life, more power to her. But here's the interesting thing. That's what upset Mr. Bouzy. And if Mr. Bouzy was that upset, he could have sent me a message on Twitter. He could have emailed me. My information was there. And he could have simply said, "Excuse me, I don't like this information, and I would appreciate it if you take it down." If he had done that, I probably would have. But instead, he went on a Twitter jag with all kinds of threats. So with that being said, he's putting up tweets like this one. "I'm not bringing children and spouses and family members into this mess." Let me remind you, the previous tweet, he did bring my husband up and he said what he did for a living. And even though he said, "I don't bring children into it," he then put up the next post you're going to see where he made sure everybody knew that my son has autism and he tried to put a positive spin on it. And I will say he is right. He is a fabulous kid. This fabulous kid had to fight physically and every other way known to man, all the way through school to get the things that are handed to the other kids. He is now in college. He makes the dean's list and the president's list almost every semester because he's ridiculously smart, and he's now driving, and he's a fabulous driver. I could not be prouder. And there is a big difference between saying that somebody accuses their father of being a bad father and releasing the private medical diagnosis and information of a special needs person. They don't even begin to compare. He put up this tweet with most of my Instagram account.
At Chewy, you can save on all the gifts you need for the gifts that keep on giving. Because while they have
information, and just as an FYI, the reason I had an Instagram account with this title on it was because my son, the autistic one, finally said, "I want a social media account." And I, as a responsible parent, was going to be watching him. And he didn't want me on there. And so I made an account that said, "I'm watching you." And that's how I got onto his Instagram so that I can monitor what he was doing. And somehow Mr. Bouzy tried to make it sound nefarious. Yeah. And just as another FYI, this account has been in existence since my son was 12 or 13. He's going to be 22. And Mr. Bouzy tried to make it seem like I put that there because of Meghan Markle. It has nothing to do with Meghan Markle. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see what Mr. Bouzy is doing. He puts up these tweets and he tries to upset the Sussex Squad because he actually wants them to do his dirty work. That way he thinks that he's in the clear. Perfect example again, when Mr. Bouzy told the young lady that was on the podcast with him that if she knew the identities of these people, she should release them. He already said he wasn't going to, but he encouraged her to do it. There you go. Now, Mr. Bouzy, and FYI, I've never called him anything but that because my mother raised me to show respect, is so busy focused on other people and civil cases that he's not paying attention to possible criminal ones. So after Mr. Bouzy whipped up the Sussex Squad and they started writing nasty things like this one that said drag her, I take that as a personal physical threat. Now, again, referring back to the podcast he just did a few days ago, he said that no one on their side has harassed anybody and that he does not feel that he incites people to violence. Right. Go get 'em. You know, the name calling. She's an old woman. She's a middle-aged white woman. Tweets like this, they're about to go through some things. I'm going to be here for it. These are the kind of tweets that whip people up and that can cause somebody to be physically injured. And he thinks because he's not the one that's going to be injuring somebody, somehow that doesn't make him liable. Putting up tweets like what you see above at the very top. I added so she knows that I know who she is. Trying to get people to call the nursing board to report my license. But as you can see, you have to be doing something illegal. A DUI, a misdemeanor, something. And I haven't done anything, so there's really nothing to report me for. Pulling stories from NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, BBC, and giving my opinion on them is not doing something illegal. Sorry, but that's my opinion, which is protected by the Constitution. And of course, you have the tweets that he puts out that may not be directed directly at me, but that show his frame of mind and how dangerous he could be, to people's personal safety. I mean, look what happened to the Duchess of Sussex, I think is how you say her name. People took pictures of her underage grandchildren and emailed them to her. That's a threat. Now, the police have been notified. The FBI's been notified. They're investigating. The people that are sticking their noses out like this don't realize that they could be arrested, fired from their jobs. I mean, they're not thinking. Maybe you're one of those people that uses a VPN so you think you can never be found. Please believe me, the FBI and all of them, they have ways of finding you. You have to go from an account somewhere on a social media site. You can be tracked. Could you imagine these people showing up to your job or you being arrested because you've threatened somebody's children and then you're fired, then you can't pay your bills? I'm like, come on, people, think a little bit. So after I was doxxed on Twitter, and I was doxxed, not only did he put out my full name, but he linked my YouTube accounts to it. So I've been fully doxxed. He found out that I was considering talking to the police about what was going on because I feel like he's inciting people to do things. That's what he's doing. So Mr. Bouzy, who's already contacted the police in the UK and has reported Yankee Wally and has put her under investigation for I can't even imagine what, called me a Karen when he found out that I was thinking to reach out to the North Bergen County Police Department about his behavior. So did I get a cease and desist? Yes, I did. And what am I doing with it? Absolutely nothing. I'm ignoring it, just like I've ignored everything else. Now, since his claims of defamation are false because everything that was in that video was true, from the bankruptcy to the tweets that came directly from his account to what he said, quoted straight out of Elle magazine, to what his daughter said about him, there is no case. Now, interestingly enough, this tweet was sent to me by somebody that said that Sue Me, I think her name is, published her cease and desist letter, and she thinks it's a game. But the other person who received the letter resolved the issue amicably and behaved like an adult. Well, unless he sent letters to more than 2 people, I'm the other person. And this tweet confuses me because I have not done anything. I have not removed my tweets and I have not removed or altered my videos, so I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about. Now, here's the really strange part of this entire scenario. Mr. Bouzy has still yet to reach out to me. Now, this is someone who's supposed to be a professional businessman, and yet he's incapable of writing a DM or an email. to express himself. Instead, it's threat, 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 legal. Threat, 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 legal. Dude, I raised an autistic son and battled with schools and parents for years. This kind of stuff to me just doesn't intimidate me. If there's an issue, you can still reach out to me with an email.
Playing Wordscape's only 10 minutes a day sharpens your brain. How many words can you spell from these?
No, I'm not being smart. Write an email. My email address is on my YouTube account and readily available. Now, please make no mistake. If anybody from the Sussex Squad makes threats, if anything happens, if any more tweets come to light and are sent to me, those will simply be forwarded to the correct authorities in New Jersey, and we'll move forward with a legal case. You know, I keep thinking back to that tweet that Mr. Bouzy put up that said I had gone from helping people to hurting people. Defamatory. I haven't hurt anybody. I'd like to think in 20 some odd years of helping people, little kids to the elderly, holding their hands as they leave this earth, and, you know, doing the best I could for my patients, that there's some karma coming my way. That's what I believe. I've put it out and it's going to come back to me in a good way. This next video was March 8th of 2022. Well, I'm sure that a lot of you saw my video several days ago where I let you know that Mr. Bouzy doxed me. I had all my receipts. I showed you where he put out information not only on me, but on my husband and on my special needs child. And he was essentially told that he needs to stop because he is cyberbullying, and where he lives has very strict laws on that. I think I made myself perfectly clear on that. I got an email from YouTube that there had been a copyright infringement notification regarding his video. Yes, he wrote to YouTube. He claimed that I was using copyrighted material that was on his, again, on his open, unsecured Twitter account. The information that I used was a photo that has been disseminated and used on so many accounts out in the public realm, it's not even funny. And here's a copy of what he wrote to YouTube. And of course, he made sure that they knew that I got a cease and desist letter. You know, that cease and desist letter goes right in the file with the cyber stalking and the cyber bullying, because if you don't have a legal case, you can't be sending those kinds of letters. And going behind everybody's back and trying to be stealth and getting a video taken down because you're claiming that a picture that's on 500,000 other websites is suddenly copyrighted doesn't really work unless you've contacted every other website that's got your photo. I don't think he has. So YouTube sent him the following response and told him that I have not broken any rules. It's part of the fair use, fair dealings. If you're going to put a picture up on Twitter and it's going to be copied all around Twitter and it's going to be used in lawsuits with Jason Goodman and it's going to be put up on other people's articles, you can't suddenly turn around because one person's using it that you don't like it and claim, oh, it's copyrighted. But this entire experience is going to go into the file of cyberbullying. You know, digging a hole. And Mr. Bouzy, if you're watching this, and I know you are, what does it say in your email? Yes, it says you should reach out to the person who's got the video. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. We know you won't be doing that. But sending cease and desist letters when you don't have a legal case is bullying. And reaching out to YouTube to claim that I am infringing on your copyright when I'm not is also a form of bullying. Stop, Mr. Bouzy, stop. By the way, you guys, this picture above is the one that he claims is copyrighted. This picture that 50 gazillion people have seen all over the internet. Suddenly, when I'm using it, it's copyrighted. So this was really long, but for those of you who are new to the channel, now you know the amount of harassment that I've been subjected to, and this has been going on for years. This is not just a couple of tweets. He comes back again and again and again. It's got to stop at some point. All right, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave those comments. Have a great day.